Hey everybody, welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and on today's episode we got another brand new statue review coming to you courtesy of the fine folks over at Diamond Select. Now I want to be cliche and say that this statue has turtle power, because I've said that again and again, but no, because it's really not quite fueled by the power of some cowabunga awesome pizza fueled turtles, very much quite the opposite. Because today we're taking a look at the brand new PVC Gallery Diorama Series statue from The Last Ronin. And here we have that very same Last Ronin. So if you're unfamiliar with where this turtle has come from here, let me catch you up on things here because it's a pretty wild story. So this is essentially the Frank Miller-esque Batman Dark Knight Returns sort of version of the Ninja Turtles. And this is essentially a very grim, gritty continuation of the series written by the original creator. And without getting into too many spoilers, this comic series takes place in a dark, dystopian future where the bad guys have won and the turtles lost. And at this point in time, there's only one turtle who can try to protect the city and the world, as well as join up with the underground resistance to help make things right. But the question is, who is this Last Ronin? And that's something I'm not going to answer. So if you want the solution to that quandary, go ahead and check out the description for this video below, where you'll find not only links for this Last Ronin statue, but also for the comic book. You're going to see a lot of interesting clues, I think, once we open them up here, but before we do that, let's just talk about this packaging here. And this is that classic Diamond Select box. It is, of course, the classic square shape here, which we've seen again and again. It's got a giant window on the front of it. We've got windows on each of the sides as well. So you get a really great look into this figure and everything that it comes with, which when I say that there aren't like any loose accessories or that kind of thing, but there are a ton of really great details hiding in this piece, so you can already see from the outset just by peeking into these windows. And like all of Diamond's PVC pieces, we also have that iconic Diamond Select sunroof, so you can really get a full view of everything that this statue has. Now the back of the packaging gives you a shot of how this statue is going to look once it's out of the box, as well as a little bit of story information about the Last Ronin. Because again, I think a lot of folks might not be super familiar with it just yet, but after you see this piece, if you don't know about it, I think you're going to want to look it up right away. It really just asks questions of you, which I think will entice you to want to check out more about this guy here, and it really is worth it. It's pretty unique. But most importantly of all, the packaging lets us know who's responsible for this Last Ronin Gallery Diorama statue, and this was designed by David Forrest and sculpted by Alex Belov, both of Kinetic Underground. So I'm completely unfamiliar with either of those guys here. I think this is the first time I've seen their work on this channel, so I'm excited to see their take of the Last Ronin, because I feel like it's going to be a difficult character to really kind of capture in this format, but from what I'm seeing already, I've got some high hopes right now. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take our Last Ronin statue out of the box and take a closer look at him from all angles. And here is our Last Ronin statue right now. This thing is pretty epic, I gotta say. I think that's the first word that comes to mind when I look at this. And that's a really good word, I think, to have in my head. So let's start this off by doing a quick rotation just to give you guys a better look at this piece from all different angles, because there's a lot to look at here. We're gonna have a lot of fun just digging into every single nook and cranny of this Last Ronin statue. So yeah, this is a piece with the Last Ronin. Again, I'm not going to tell you who this turtle is. Maybe you'll figure it out, maybe you won't. But if you do know, make sure you don't spoil it for anybody in the comments below, please. If you do, you're getting not only your comment deleted, but blocked from this page forever and ever. So let's go ahead and just, again, you guys can see how many little details, how many little things are in this. There's a lot. So I think, I don't want to start with the head, I guess, but man, there's so many other places I could just zip around to. But yeah, I should be a little bit more focused here. And let's start this review how I start all my reviews typically, which is by taking a look at that likeness and asking the question, well, I can't tell you who does this look like, but I guess basically the question here in this case will be, does it look like the character from the comics? And I would say to that, yes, I would. I think this totally looks like our titular Last Ronin character. Now that said, I do think maybe a few artistic liberties were taken, but that's fine. I mean, these things are always open up for interpretation and should be open for license, so that, yeah, they're not going to be an exact replica of what we saw out of the comics, but regardless of how close it looks here, the personality and everything else that's tied to this character, I'd say, is definitely present here in this piece. And this is our Ronin basically all decked out and armored out as we kind of see them in like the first issue or so. And, there's a lot of good texture on this piece here, which I wasn't expecting in a PVC piece. You can kind of see there's actually some sort of like, textured skin in his neck and on his face. Now, granted, the clothing doesn't really have as much texture in this particular part, but there is still some here. You can see there actually is some kind of texture. It's like you can tell that it's worn. This is basically not brand new out of the box. This is some outfit that has been worn and has definitely seen some action. And likewise, you can see that in his face as well, because he has this big cut over here on the side of his face. And yeah, as far as like the spirit of the last Ronin goes, yeah, I'd say this definitely has it. Now let's talk a little bit about the pose as well, because this is also what kind of makes this statue pretty interesting. And this is it right here. So it's basically last Ronin charging into battle. And we have all the energy or weight being placed on this back foot over here. And the character is kind of just sprinting forward on the attack. I would definitely would not say he's on the retreat. Like, this to me reads very much as a character who's moving forward. And I especially say that, again, going back to that back leg and how it's positioned, because he is moving forward, moving ahead. So I'm very much inclined to believe that, yeah, last Ronin here, he's about to punch something, and whoever gets in his way, they're going to have many a broken thing on them. Normally I'd spend a lot more time kind of like going into high detail about the pose, but I don't really think it's as complex as I've seen with other statues in the past. That's not a bad thing, it is what it is. But there definitely is still some things to talk about here. The main thing just basically being simple X shape that's being created here, and it's very simplistic here. You guys can see it, I think, right off the bat. So we have our main triangular shape being formed over here with the leg, and helped also by the weapons on his back. It intersects with the direction of this arm and with this piece of the tonfa, and also the direction that he's looking in. So we've got a very simple X creation over here, which you can see. And likewise, you're getting that same kind of thing from the front as well. The other tonfa is now being our other point of origin to create the X that's going to intersect with this. And it generally brings you right back to the head. So yeah, pretty simple, but it gets the job done. And again, you're seeing the same shape right here. This time the tonfas are actually, both of them are creating the shape. The swords are bringing you right into the head again. So very simple, but highly effective. It might not be the most elegant pose out there, but it's definitely very action-packed, to the point, and that's a pretty great thing as well. But I think I want to spend a lot of time here just talking about all the little details that are in this piece, because that's what really makes this last Ronin stand out. Now, it's hard not to ignore these like X-Men cable style shoulder pads that he has, but wonderful texture in there, great tactile sensations on all these pads. You've got the goggles that are hanging off his neck over here, which Turtle does in fact wear here and there in the comic series. As we move on down, though, you start to see some of the weapons, and again, more of the pouches, because this is a very, very action-heavy series, and this has got a lot of action in the statue. So you can see, again, just some of the other accessories. And I say accessories because if this was a toy, this would be like chock full of things. But yeah, you've got some good old Rob Liefeld patches, although really in this case, this is like Frank Miller style patches, and they really are, because they are that same sort of square shape that you'd see the Dark Knight in the Dark Knight Returns comic using in his bat belt, his utility belt. We've got on the other side here some throwing knives, really nicely sculpted, good detail. On the fabric, too, in this outfit, you can see lots of little buttons, great folds in his clothing. That's really exceptional. Before I turn him completely around, I do want to spend some time on his wrist gauntlets here, which you can see each one, as you already saw, holds a tonfa. None of these move, of course. This is a statue, after all, but really nice-looking fighting glove. It's kind of like a mix of MMA gloves with maybe a little bit of like some other sports in there, because it's very heavily padded, so that's to help protect him. And you can see there, you got the classic amount of fingers that a turtle should have. Yeah, fairly spot on here, and just really nice sculpting across the board with that. And we'll give you a better look at the other tonfa as well. And this has also got some kind of like ridge textures inside there to help separate it from the space and not just be, a plain piece of wood or whatever. I think these are meant to be metallic tonfas, although they are very, very dirty. This is not like a clean, shiny, glistening tonfa. These are very dark. They've been around for a while. They've seen a lot of combat. And I guess this now is kind of a perfect chance to bring us to more of what's on his back, and that is a lot of the Ninja Turtle weapons. So you can see right here we have Michelangelo's nunchucks, 2 of them on his back. We also have a grappling hook that's attached here with a rope to another one of those pouches that we already saw earlier. As we continue to move around here, we've got, looks like a chakra, kind of like that weapon that Xena would use. I believe that's what's hanging out on his back here. But we also have, you could see, a purple staff for Donatello, as well as a sword, which we can presume at one point was Leonardo's. So there you guys go. Great detail on all this stuff too, and I like the wash on this too. This is not like, as I've said earlier, it's not like a super clean sort of thing. This is very much like washed out, faded away, and used. And speaking of used, here is one of Raphael's sai. There's only one there. I don't know where the other one is. I don't remember if it's hiding on him or if he just doesn't have it, but there is a single sai for Raphael, along with some more pouches. So that's how the weapons are going to look on him. And again, just a lot of stuff in there, a lot of great detail, really well sculpted. Let's move on down though to the base, because there's plenty down there to talk about as well. And I think the most obvious thing, besides their awesome toes on the turtle, is the Casey Jones mask that's kind of hiding out right there. So again, where is Casey? What's happened to him? I can't tell you. You got to read the comic to find out, but there is his mask just on the ground. So clearly something has happened to Casey Jones. And again, I really dig the wash. I like the look on this. This just has a lot of detail, a lot of effort went into this piece, and it really shows. And likewise too, the rest of the base as well. You know, it's just basically rubble, but it's really nicely done rubble. I've actually seen other rubble from Diamond, and it hasn't quite necessarily looked as good as this. I really like the different tones and shades. There's some shininess in this. You know, they've done rubble in the past. They've done piles of debris, so it's not like they're inexperienced with doing it. But I gotta tell you, I'm actually surprised how much I like this. You know, it's not like it's anything that much fancier, but something about it is definitely different. I guess that's, again, these two sculptors who we haven't seen before. This is their way of doing the rubble and debris. And they did a really great job designing it and sculpting it. I'm really, really liking that. So yeah, great all around. Nice work on those little tiny details. That's really what makes it. And as far as paint job goes as well, you never really have to worry about paint with any of these statues. It's always very, very clean with diamond stuff. And as I've already been saying here, you know, there's a lot of great weathering effects on this statue. The green is very nice. It's not like super bright either. It's kind of like the perfect amount of brightness to help pop a little bit. But again, this piece is very much about being in the dark, being in the shadows. So you don't want it to really stand out a ton. You kind of want it to just be there and be the green that it needs to be. And that's what they've accomplished here. And yeah, overall, very nicely done statue. You know, I don't really have anything too bad to say about this. I think the only thing that I could say is, like, if you don't know the last Ronin comic, you might be a little confused looking at this piece, but it's still a pretty awesome turtle piece, and it's a very unique turtle piece. And quite frankly, if you're a fan of the Ninja Turtles, you got to go out there and you got to read this comic. I really can't stress that enough, because it's very good. It's good enough that we've now seen a sequel to it. We've seen a prequel to it, or rather, I should say, I think the sequel's coming soon, but the prequel's already happening. We've got NECA doing their action figures as well of different characters from the series. So clearly this has caught on a lot with readers, and I think it's worth checking out. It might not be my favorite turtle story of all time, but it is a very nice, interesting continuation of that original lore. Now, as for this statue, if you want to pick this up for yourself, you can check it out using my Amazon affiliate links in the description of this video below. You'll find a few different places you can buy it from, and if you click on any of those links, it helps support this YouTube channel at no extra cost to you. So that's our look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Last Ronin statue from Diamond Select. This is a PVC Gallery Diorama Series piece, meaning that's going to clock in at about $60 new, but you can probably find it for a little bit less here and there, especially if you're checking out my Amazon affiliate link, because Amazon's always dropping the prices here and there. But that said, I do think this is going to be one of the hotter pieces, so really keep an eye on it, and it's the kind of thing where if you want it and you like it, I'd say scoop it up, because quite often you can never tell with a diamond statue whether it's going to stay rare and stay hot and be hard to find, or if it's going to just kind of languish and linger and do nothing. But I think a piece like this is going to be highly popular, highly sought after, and frankly, I'd recommend you guys get this in before the holiday rush begins. So that's the TMNT Last Ronin PVC Gallery Diorama piece from Diamond Select. I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys here next time with more toy reviews, statue unboxings, and everything else we do here on the channel.